Hey mom friends, this is Functional Medicine for Moms, where we look at motherhood through the lens of functional medicine. I'm your host, Kelly Moline, a pharmacist with advanced training in functional medicine. From pregnancy and postpartum to everyday parent life, we talk root causes, natural solutions, and real stories from our own family's journey, plus conversations with experts along the way.
Go for it.
Hey, mom friends and dad friends. Welcome back to our podcast, Functional Medicine for Moms. I'm Kelly. I'm a licensed pharmacist, functional medicine consultant, wife, and new mom.
And I'm Landon Moline, Kelly's husband and father of our little baby Danielle.
Yes. I always start with yes. That's kind of weird. But anyway, so if you
listen on YouTube, we've recently decided to stop doing the video recording, but we'll still be posting on YouTube, but it'll just be audio for now.
Yeah. If you've watched our last episode with me and Landon, we commented how we were really frustrating with the cameras and the technology, and we are not tech people. So for the time being, we will record the audio for you guys and still post it on YouTube for our subscribers. But yeah,
It just takes a lot of the work and the stress out of it, because it's been just a journey on the media side with all the camera work. So
yeah. And maybe someday we'll have it back, especially if we're able to outsource something like that. But when it's just us, which thankfully my sister was helping us edit the video side, which was really helpful. But because it's just us, no one's being paid or anything right now. We're just, it's a lot of time.
yeah, and it was more just, it would just interrupt if a camera shut off or ran out of memory or whatever. There was just so many issues like that. I think it just took longer to record, to the point where it started getting frustrating and not being as fun.
Right. And you could probably hear our frustration just on the podcast in general. And then we're just like wanting to get it done. And we have a crunch time having nap time, doing it during a nap time or doing it when Danielle is sleeping. So if you're a parent out there, you may get that.
Exactly.
And we're talking about the return on investment at the ROI, which Landon was really proud that I knew that term.
I was so proud, using some business, like some financing terms.
Yeah. Landon's our accountant, so he really liked that. And are we investing a lot of money in it? No, but we're investing a lot of time. And as a mom or a parent in general, that's everything.
Exactly. Yep.
So yeah, now that we have that disclaimer out of the way, what to expect from this episode. So we are recapping our baby's first birthday. Now, toddler, I guess you could say, since she is 12 months old now. We're also going to be talking about weaning some off of breastfeeding and what that looks like for us and why. And then also building a better pantry, some healthier staples for our healthier families.
Awesome. So is it anything after one is considered a toddler?
So
what is considered a toddler, I guess? I didn't know one
Google,
was a toddler.
I believe, says 1 to 3.
1 to 3 is a toddler? Okay. Wow. That's kind of weird to say out loud.
I think 4 is like pre-K age.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so toddler is like when they're toddlering around but I think it's going to feel more like a toddler when she's walking than a baby.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, she is considered a toddler.
I don't know why I just thought like toddler was so much older, like 3 to 4. I don't know. That's weird.
Because this is new to us. That's okay.
Yeah. So she's a toddler now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that?
It's crazy. I mean, it's exciting because it's a whole, I mean, not the fact that she's considered a toddler, but like her being one. I think it was really fun having other kids over for the birthday party. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of your friends, a lot of the friends that you have that have kids that came, their kids are a little older, just like slightly older, like a few months. And so you kind of got a glimpse of what that's going to look like in a few months. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of fun. It's like, you kind of know what to expect, and they were walking around, and it was craziness. So I think that was a kind of a fun point of the birthday party, is to kind of see where we're headed and what the next milestones look like, and I get to talk to other parents about like that journey for them, and yeah, so it's really fun.
Yeah, I agree. So her birthday was Saturday. And so we actually got to have the party on her birthday. So it was a really big day. And I was kind of going back and forth on what we wanted to do for a party size. And originally, I think I wanted more like family based and less friend based. And we can talk about like what type of party we wanted, what size, all of that. But we went to a first birthday party a few months back, and she had a lot of like babies and kids around the same age, and I thought that was really fun to see them like play by each other and just talk to other parents about the same experience. And we don't have any other babies in the family, so and family was invited, but we also live really far away from our family since we live in Texas, and a lot of our family lives across the country from us. But yeah.
Yeah, no.
So we had just like a few families invited that again had babies around the same age. And a lot of them are like mom friends that I hang out with or get coffee with or have little play dates with. I know we're still in the time frame of parallel play. So babies are like playing near each other. They're not exactly interacting as much with each other. And it's
just
not
to steal toys.
Yeah, they steal toys, but I think that's still good to like, how are they going to respond to that if they're always used to playing by themselves and then another kid steals their toy at 4? That's going to look very different than they're used to doing that. And you can tell like what kids have siblings and they're used to having their toys taken from them versus like, Danielle does not.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, the birthday party itself though was themed really cute. It was Winter Wonderland. I love to play on words.
Thank you.
The punniness of it, but yeah, it was really cute. It was on brand for everything we wanted to do for it, and a lot of pink, it was pink snowflakes, and you did a good job of having your picture taken like every month. So we kind of did a little timeline of that for it, and that was fun to see. And then, thought you decorated and you planned it out really well.
Thank you. We didn't want necessarily like a big party where we wanted to rent a venue or anything, and just budget reasons too. We're living on more of a one income type family, and I know some people really like a big birthday party, and first birthday parties, I think in general, probably all birthday parties are all like, there's a very wide range on what you can do for like, you can just have your immediate family where it's like mom, dad, baby. And then you can have, more extended family there. And then you can have friends. You can rent a venue, all of those things.
We had our friend Corbin make a delicious cake, but it was flavored. It was sweetened with like strawberries, not sugar.
The cake was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Loved it. And very on theme. And so, I love that. And then we had normal cupcakes with the sugar in ours for the adults, and
definitely partook in those.
It was delicious. So big fan. But yeah, I really liked that.
Yeah. Is there anything you would have done differently about the 1-year-old birthday party now having done it?
Like if I were to give advice, kind of the same thing that I was asking. So yeah, I feel like we try to keep it low key. I think there was still like stress in the morning of decorating and all of that. I thought the size was really good. So we had like 3 little families come. I think 2 families couldn't make it. And then my sister also flew, and then your aunt also came, and your mom is here. My parents were going to come as well, but they couldn't fly due to my dad being injured right now. So that was unfortunate, but that's why we have FaceTime. So that was great to be able to see them through FaceTime.
Yeah. I thought it was a good number of people. I think, I felt like with all the toys that were out, with the presents that Danielle got, and all the kids that were, playing around in the living room, we could have fit a couple more, but it felt pretty full as it was. So I think it was a good number of people, and I wouldn't have wanted it to be much bigger.
Yeah. And since we had it at our house, we could have, whatever timeline we wanted. I ended up picking 12:30 to 2. I was going back and forth on this for months. This is why I didn't plan it specifically for a while, because she has such inconsistent nap times. Well, over Christmas was the time that she finally had a clear schedule. She was napping every day in Minnesota from 10 to 11:30, and then from 2 to 3 or something like that. And so I'm like, perfect. We're going to make it 12:30 to 2 so she can have maybe a little bit of lunch. We can get her ready, and then she can go down for a nap afterwards. Well, then of course we come back and she is no longer on a schedule. And now her morning naps have always been the nap I can count on the most out of everything. And then she sometimes doesn't want to do her afternoon nap. Well, 3 days before, she started not wanting to go down for her morning nap until a little bit later. And then of course her birthday comes and she does not want to do her morning nap at all.
No, she's got to keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
You got to switch things up a little bit.
Yeah. So by the time 12:30 came around and people started showing up, she hasn't napped. She probably starts yawning around 12 or so. I'm like, well, girl, now we're staying up.
Yeah. It was funny because people are, showing up for her and trying to interact with her. And when she's tired, she's like a stone wall. They're trying to get smiles from her. And she was just kind of
smiles aren't free.
Yeah, smiles aren't free with her, especially if she's tired. So she was just staring at people when they're trying to interact with her a little bit. But she did pretty well, though. I think she carried through to the end as best she could. And so, I mean, yeah, it's just kind of funny because you just can't plan those things out.
Right.
I mean, it's just not how it works. So
I did it a small lunch and hoping she would still be hungry for the cake. So I fed her, I don't know, 11:30, 11:45, a little bit of soup. And then she had the cake around 1:15. And she was eating it, but I was like, okay, we're now in a time crunch because she's going to fall asleep quick. And so, then we did presents after that. She was engaged enough. And then after presents, I put her down for a nap. She slept for a little bit and then she came back and people are still there partying for her. So she got to see the people, play with her friends, kind of.
Yeah, it was good. I thought, I mean, I haven't been to a lot of 1-year-old birthday parties, but it seemed like a success and it accomplished what we wanted. We got some cute photos.
Yeah.
We were all matchy with matching sweaters.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It was good. I will say, so I definitely did get emotional during the day, and there were a few times that I got emotional. So, because it's also the 1 year of past her birth, right? Obviously, I think we know that, but I've never really thought of that attending other people's birthdays, their littles' birthdays, until I became a mom of holy crap, this is the anniversary of you going through this experience, this birth experience, and becoming a mom yourself, especially for our first kid. And so when one of the friends came and she's like, happy 1 year becoming a mom, and immediate tears. Just that. And then another friend came and she brought me flowers and then a present for Danielle, but she's like, this is for you, for the mom. And again, tears. And then when we sang happy birthday, that was emotional for me for sure.
Yeah. No, it was an emotional day. I mean, I think, I was just more reminiscing on the entire year and how fast it flew by. And I was just like, man, if this year went so fast, the next 15, 16, 17 years are going to go by extremely quickly as well. So I think that's where I was getting emotional. I was like, okay, this is going a little too fast. But yeah, no, it was fun.
Yeah, we're already sending her off to college.
Well, at one point I was like, just think only 17 more years to go and she's going to be an adult now. And after that year went so quickly, I feel like that doesn't feel that far away, but yeah, no, just gotta live in the moment, cherish each second we get, and yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, she got a lot of toys, and she loves them all, and wants to make sure they're all out on the floor. So we're gonna have to do some organizing or picking and we have to put some toys away because there's like so many toys out there.
Yeah, so we want to do a toy rotation. I think this is a good time for it, especially after Christmas and her birthday. We didn't do a ton of toys or anything for Christmas, but I think this is a good time where now that she's interested in these new toys, we can kind of switch things around. So I got some bins from Target. They're getting delivered today. And so I'm going to pack up a lot of her toys that we've had for a while, put them in her closet for, until she gets bored essentially of these new toys, and then kind of switcheroo around so we have a rotation of a few toys.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I think certain toys are probably, she's probably past the age where they're like, as well, what am I trying to say? I think there are certain toys that are still in those bins, like where she can access them.
Like developmentally appropriate.
Developmentally, she's like past that point, so we can probably just put those away for good for right now, and then
yeah,
have
it's
more
very
room for others.
interesting because when I do have other kids over that are older, sometimes it's interesting to see what they gravitate towards because it's not exactly what I would expect. And a lot of the toys can kind of grow with them. So I can like pack it away for now and then have it available when we do like a toy rotation. I think a lot of people have like 2, 3, 4 different like groups of toys. And so it's like constantly getting refreshed, whether that's every couple weeks, once a month, once a week. I think people can do whatever they want with that, and how their kid is. But
I didn't know toy rotation was such a thing.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I was looking on Pinterest. There's a lot of different boards on it, which is interesting. But I think like keeping it simple is the main key. And I got clear containers so I can see kind of what's in them. That was like a big thing. But yeah, so when I'll like put them in a rotation, especially the ones that she's not really interested in right now, and then next time she gets them, I can kind of see if she's still not interested in them, and then we can either put them away for another baby if that happens,
Another baby. Whoa.
Yeah, if we're blessed with one, and then or we can donate them.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting too, like you kind of pointed out, where it's interesting to see like different kids play with toys differently. Mm-hmm. There's just, and so she might be playing with a toy right now a certain way, but then like if you rotate it back through later on, she might be playing with it a completely different way.
Yeah, because it might be new to her. She kind of might forget about it, but also if she's a month or two later in development, she's might act completely different too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be fun. Get some toys off of our floor and organize a little bit. We love organization there. So yeah. Another thing we want to talk about was the breastfeeding and weaning off of breastfeeding. So now that she is 12 months, so they say like breast milk or formula is their main nutrition for the first year, and then it switches to like solid foods. And they do recommend breastfeeding until 2, at least, and you can definitely breastfeed beyond that. But I don't think it has to be like an all or none situation. And I still do want to breastfeed her longer, but breastfeeding her 6 times a day is still like a lot to me, because I'm also feeding her all this as well, and it can get a little overwhelming. And then just also when I want like other people to be able to take care of her, that's harder because then I have to pump, make sure she has enough milk, all those things. But now that she's older, she can have more solids.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's I guess I haven't put much thought into when we're gonna wean her off of like breast milk and stuff, but
yeah,
I definitely, in my head, I'm like, I don't know how my family did it, but it just, to me, and this is not saying it's like the wrong way, but it always seems so strange when like a kid comes up and like can say full sentences and be like, I want milk, and they just start breastfeeding the kid. I'm like, oh my goodness. It just
I
seems,
know it's weird to you.
it
but
seems weird to me, but like, I mean, if we're breastfeeding till 2, I mean, that they probably will be speaking in full sentences. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So my
Then
goal.
we're going to be the weird ones. No, just kidding.
It's if you care about that or not.
No.
Like I don't, and I'm the one breastfeeding. So
Yeah, it's just different. I don't know. I think there's a certain point where I'm like, if they get so old, it could, I don't know. Some people breastfeed for a really long time, I feel like. And so, but, and again, not saying it's wrong, but for me, I just never really.
So why do you feel like it's weird? Let's unpack this.
I don't know. I don't know why I think it's weird. I think there just comes to a certain point, and maybe it's just kind of how I was raised. Like, so it's what I'm used to. But like, if a kid gets to a certain age, it almost, for me, for whatever reason, it almost seems like inappropriate to like have a kid that old be going to their mom and like getting milk for her. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just
and
weird.
I think there's like a taboo around it. And, in the movie Grown Ups, like that was a big joke where the little kid was, a few years old and still.
I think that's where I got like, that's where it was weird. Like when I saw it in Grown Ups, like the movie.
So it's definitely
I was like, whoa.
There is like taboo and a joke around it.
Yeah.
But it's also like the most natural thing.
But I'm also horrible at guessing ages. So like, I don't know how old the kid was in the movie. In Grown Ups, but that's kind of where I'm like, I'm horrible guessing ages, so I might have thought that kid was like 2 or 3, but that kid might have been like 4, 5, 6. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was like 4 or 5. If I
remember seeing that. I think that's kind of where I was first like, yeah, there needs to be a cutoff time, but I don't know. To each their own.
And so, okay, so this is what I envision. So rather than it being like, okay, now I'm feeding her, I was feeding her like 6 times a day. I don't envision me breastfeeding her 6 times a day as a 2 or 3-year-old. How I envision it is when she's going down for bedtime, when she's going down for a nap, if I'm putting her down, then I can breastfeed her because it's more of like a comfort and bonding thing. But she's also getting like benefits from the nutrition of breast milk because it's like a multivitamin that's specifically made for them. Like my body knows exactly what is needed and what nutrient gaps are there, so then my body can help provide that. And then also it's providing antibodies, so if she's exposed to anything, then my body can give her antibodies so that she can stay healthier. It's better for her gut health. All of those
I definitely understand the benefits of breastfeeding. I think we've gone over that in other podcast episodes, but when you're weaning down the amount you breastfeed, doesn't it get harder to regulate that? Because like, couldn't your milk supply kind of gradually go away if you're doing it less and less? And so like, how do you manage that?
Well, I think that's kind of the goal. Like your body is regulating on how much you want, how much you need to have for them. So it's all about supply and demand. So if your demand goes down, your supply is going to go down. But that's not, at this point of time, it's not a bad thing. Like I don't want my supply to be up all the time and being like leaking through my shirts. I want, if I'm planning to breastfeed her once or twice a day, then I want just enough milk for once or twice a day. I don't want all this milk and continue pumping where I have to like upkeep that.
Yeah. I feel like what also could interfere with that too is just getting pregnant again and having another kid.
Because a lot of times the supply goes down when people are pregnant too.
Oh, really? Gotcha. But then it'll go back up, I guess, pretty high when you do have the baby. But then I think we've talked about before how you want to have the infant get the colostrum or get the to feed first, and then the older kid to feed
so
second.
I had the breastfeeding episode, which I believe you listened to as well.
Yes.
And so like the milk starts being produced around week 20, so like halfway through the pregnancy, and it starts turning more into colostrum, which is great for like immune health and stuff, but it can cause more loose stools in your baby, so, or your toddler, I guess, if you're still breastfeeding them. So just like an FYI that it might dip, and then it might then it's going to turn into colostrum later. But yes, you can tandem feed where you're toddler feeding and breastfeeding your newborn, but your newborn has to get the first priority, and then your toddler can have some as well. And then your body's just going to adjust to how much you need for one baby, two babies, whatever that looks like.
Gotcha. Okay. So do you want to go more into how you're weaning?
Yeah. So I made a little reel about this, and I got other people's input on what they did, and a lactation consultant's input too. So that was really nice. So what I'm doing right now is I have been feeding her, like nursing her in the morning when she wakes up, and then when she goes down for naps, and then when she wakes up for naps, and then if it's like been a while or she gets fussy, like here's a boob, right? And then when she goes down for bedtime. And so it's in my head, I'm like, okay, let me cut out the easiest ones first, which would be like when she wakes up for naps. She's not exactly looking for it. I just offer it. Versus like when I'm putting her down for sleep, she like definitely wants to get fed to sleep a lot of the time. So that was an easy one to take away. And what I've noticed from doing that, so that's what I've done so far. But what I've noticed from doing that is she's definitely eating more solids after that too. Yeah. So rather than waking up from a nap and now I'm feeding her some milk, and then half an hour later she's maybe having a snack or a meal, I'm like not giving her milk. So then, you know, food comes and she's definitely eating more, which is great.
Good.
Because then it makes me feel like, okay, I'm not, you know, suppressing your need for nutrition. You're figuring that out by yourself too.
Yeah. And she's taken really well to solids, so that's nice, because I feel like it'd be a little more difficult if she wasn't taking to solids. Yeah.
And my pediatrician said by 12 months we're aiming for 3 meals and 2 snacks. And so I was like kind of having trouble figuring out all these snacks because I felt like I was breastfeeding or feeding her food or cleaning up or making food all day long. But just taking out a little bit of the breastfeeding, I think she's 1, hungrier for snacks, but 2, I have more time to be able to do that for her.
Yeah. I think I didn't even realize you were weaning off of breastfeeding, and I kind of noticed that she was just getting hungry more often, and like she would get fussy, and I'd be like, oh, like kind of just read the signs of, oh, she's hungry. Mm-hmm. And so I just noticed that even without even knowing you were weaning her off of breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then I think next we'll see. I think eventually she's going to go down to 1 nap. So that'll be also like a natural point of we're having less breast milk because she's, you know, going down for a nap less. And then sometimes when we're like in the car and she just falls asleep in the car and that's her nap, like I'm not feeding her then. So, and then if someone else puts her down for a nap, they don't necessarily need to give her a bottle. So those are like times where she's going to be eating less milk as well. But some things to note before I started, I like follow other people who have weaned as well, and they talk about like a big hormone crash when you're weaning. So that's something to let your partners know as well, because you might get some like symptoms from that hormone crash, which can include like mood swings, anxiety, headaches, fatigue, trouble concentrating, even depression. So like gradual weaning is really important, but also like having your partner know so that they can support you, and then supporting with good sleep, good nutrition, all of those things too, to support your body, because it's a complete change in hormones. You've been doing this for however long, whether you're weaning at 2 months or 12 months or 2 years, it all is going to matter with your hormones.
Gotcha. So you're saying that by weaning more gradually, it's not as big of an impact on your hormones. It's not as big of a shift in your hormones.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Not as big of a crash. So rather than me saying, okay, she's 12 months old and I want to wean her, so I'm going to stop breastfeeding her tomorrow, I'm likely going to feel that. I might get like a lot of engorgement from that, where, you know, I'm filling up with all this milk. It has nowhere to go. So then you can get clogged milk ducts, which can be like pretty severe in some cases. So we're doing that gradually too.
And how does, just like scientifically, how does weaning off breastfeeding affect your hormones?
So the oxytocin is a hormone for breastfeeding that is needed for breastfeeding, which is like your love and connection hormone.
Yeah.
So that is going to go down. And then your period might come back. So your cycle might regulate. Some people's period is already back. Mine is not. So we're gonna expect that sometime. But yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So cycles, your estrogen, because like when your oxytocin and your other hormones are so high, it's also suppressing your other hormones like estrogen and progesterone and stuff. So then that can come back when your oxytocin lowers. But some of those feelings of anxiety or depression might also come up because you have less of that oxytocin produced. So still having like cuddle time with your baby and that connection can still produce some oxytocin that your body's looking for.
So do you think there are people out there that will purposely extend their breastfeeding period of time just to put off getting their period back?
Yeah. Because when I tell my friends, they're like, you're so lucky you don't have it back yet. But to me, it's so weird. Like, I haven't had a period in almost 2 years now.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of, I was like, oh, I bet there are people, if you can kind of manipulate that a little bit, or,
Yeah.
plan
But
ahead,
then some people get their period back right away, even when they are breastfeeding. I think a lot of people get their period back when they start introducing solids. And so, they're not in control of all of the nutrition that their baby's getting, so their period a lot of times comes back then, because their milk supply goes down a little bit then. So it just all depends on the person, and that's when I was expecting it. And I feel weird because I'm constantly expecting, okay, now it's coming. Oh, I feel a little bit of crampy, I think it's coming, and like I just don't know when it's coming. So I'm constantly like, who knows? I have like this emergency period survival kit for whenever it comes, because I've also heard that the first period back can be pretty intense, pretty extreme. So I'm like trying to be prepared, but then I keep looking, it's not there.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I've heard in the past that like, oh, if you're breastfeeding, you can't get pregnant. But people people lean on that a little too much sometimes, and boom, all of a sudden you get Irish twins, and like, because you're not expecting to get pregnant, but then it just happens. So it's not a fail safe.
Yeah. Right. And that can happen too, because you're going to ovulate before you get your period. So yes, it's less chance, but it's definitely still possible. And so that's also a thing, you're always like, well, wait, am I pregnant? So I have a bunch of those little like very cheap pregnancy strips that every once in a while I'm like, let's just make sure. And then sure enough, I'm not pregnant, but in my head, I'm like, okay, I can talk myself into anything. So I'm like, let's just make sure.
Yeah. No, that's funny.
So yeah, bittersweet moment. I'm excited to kind of have my body back a little bit more. I'm excited to feel like myself more, but I really do like nursing her, and I'm like sad that might come to an end sometime, but that's also why I'm like doing it slower, and I still like the bedtime. But it'll be nice too when I can have you do more bedtimes or just get more help in general, or it can be out of the house for hours without needing to pump or anything like that.
Yeah, I think right now, because she kind of still looks for a little bit of boob when she's going down for naps and stuff, it can be a little more difficult for me to put her down unless she's extremely tired.
Yeah.
But she'll kind of like look around and see if you're coming. It's like, even sometimes when I get up from her naps in the past, because you would feed her when she woke up and stuff like that, sometimes she'd give you a look like she was just disappointed that it wasn't it wasn't mom. I was like, I'm sorry, I do not have milk for you, but I will get you up. But yeah, I think it'll be, I can see where it'd be like more sad for you, but it might make it a little easier for me to help out in certain areas because she's not reliant on like to be fed to sleep or anything like that. So
yeah, I think it'll be good in the long run. And hopefully we will have another baby that I will be able to like breastfeed them. And just me thinking about how I would handle 2 babies, I need to be able to give you the reins more with Danielle if we were to have another baby.
Whoa. Okay. You got 2 babies, 2 boobs. You're fine. You got it.
I mean, women do it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, but we would need some help there.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. That's where I was talking to some people at the birthday party because I was like, 2, okay, you can each take a kid. I'm like, 3 sounds like a major leap because you're outnumbered.
Yeah, playing zone defense.
Yeah. And so, but hopefully by that time, like, they're more independent.
Yeah.
Too.
Who knows if we even get there, though?
Yeah. Well,
we said we're having
let's
2
not
or 4.
get ahead of ourselves. But yeah, we'll see. We'll take what we're blessed with.
Yeah.
On the topic of food, we can go into, as we're transitioning away from breastfeeding and stuff, we're going more into the journey of solids and what that looks like. And I know that, it's easy for us to say, oh, just like, try to find stuff with less sugar and just try to find healthy options and stuff. But I think we get more questions on what does that look like specifically. And so I think we want to dive into, not that we're the experts by any means. It's a journey, and like we're not striving for perfection. But I think we can go into kind of what we have in our pantry, so to speak.
Yeah. What to look for when building a healthier pantry, especially we're trying to be more intentional with Danielle, and she's eating more solids. That is her main source of nutrition now. So we have to be intentional. So the whys behind everything, what we look for, and then some examples we have too.
Well, and it's important. I mean, to start, thinking about like healthy options early and creating those good habits. Even if like the baby is just taking whatever you give them, I feel like, what they're used to having and stuff is what they're going to end up craving. And so, I think the earlier you get rid of the Hostess snacks and the Twinkies and out of your pantry and stuff, the less chance of the baby eventually craving that as they grow up. And, if they only have known healthy options, it's going to be, you don't have to break any of those bad habits later on. So, yeah. You've kind of led I'm going to let you take the charge on this one because like you've kind of led the whole, like what's in our pantry and I've gotten healthier because of it. But you kind of are the one that's led the charge as far as what we have in our pantry. And I'll go grocery shopping, but you kind of just tell me what to buy.
Yeah. But I'm excited for this discussion too, because some of like the pantry stuff, we do have to really look at ingredient labels, and I might try to specify a brand, but when that brand isn't available, like what do we do? How are you going to look at it? So we can kind of discuss it together too.
Yes.
Yeah. Because sometimes you'll just text me and be like, okay, which one? And
yeah.
So we can create that education for everyone.
Yes. I have slowly gotten better at actually reading the back of the label and not just the front.
So that is a big thing of reading the back of the label, because the front of the label is purely marketing. There's a lot of videos out there where they can make something like fruit snacks look healthy, where they're like 0 grams of fat, no GMO, like they put all of these labels on there. They could say all natural flavors. But then when you look at the ingredients on the back, like you can't lie as much there. You can still make the ingredient name sound a little bit fancier or something, or less artificial.
Hold on. So you're saying that food companies tell us exactly what we want to hear in order to buy their products? Mm-hmm. That's insane.
I know. The sarcasm.
The lies.
Yes, they are trying to make a profit, believe it or not. So you really have to look at the back, because the front might say, all of those things. It could say healthy. It could say natural. It could say...
I think natural's a big one. Mm-hmm. I think before I met you, I was like, oh, it's natural. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. For example, the peanut butter that you love. That is
I do
from
love
Jif.
My peanut butter.
So you like the Jif Natural, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's what I've had growing up.
So if you read on the back of it...
Well, not the natural. I had just the regular Jif
and
creamy
now
peanut butter.
Do the natural. because you're like, oh, natural.
Yeah, it says like, yeah, natural, and it's lower sodium or something.
Yes. So those are big things for marketing. But if you read the back, the ingredients, peanuts, and then the second ingredient is sugar. So if you don't know already, how they have to list ingredients is from the amount that is in that product. The first ingredients is the most abundant ingredient, and then versus the last ingredients are the least abundant in the product. So the first few ingredients on anything will matter the most because it has the most of that in there. So when something is, first ingredient is sugar or a high fructose corn syrup or a seed oil or something like that, that will matter.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So versus the peanut butter I buy for me and Danielle is a different brand that the ingredient is just organic peanuts.
Yeah.
And so.
But that's an instance in where I mean, everyone's got their non-negotiables or like what they prioritize. And I will say I still get the peanut butter. Like we still have the natural Jif peanut butter in our pantry. I do have it a lot less often than I used to. But it is still in there because I do like it. And I mean, it just, everything in moderation. But that's where I'm like, it's, again, like you don't have to completely be 100%
right.
healthy.
And so that's a point too I want to make is how often is it in your regimen, right? Is it a food you're eating daily or even weekly? Or is it a food that's super occasional where you don't need to focus on it as much?
Yeah. Yep.
So like the foods that we're eating all the time, pick those first. And then the foods and even foods for
when
kids.
When you say pick those first, you mean like focus
swap.
on those?
Yeah. Those might be our like main things to swap at first. The foods that we're eating more often and then the foods for your kids because a lot of the time, like Danielle eats a lot of the same foods in rotation. And she has just a developing system. So her body isn't going to process it the same as we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is important.
I will say your peanut butter just does not taste as good as mine though.
It's not as sweet. No, obviously the second ingredient isn't sugar, but you like do become more accepting of less sweet things when you start building that new palette of having different foods.
Yeah.
But also I've tried different better like peanut butters, better for you peanut butters, and there is a range where the one, now I need to look what brand it is because the one that I have in our fridge right now, because apparently peanut butter can get moldy, which is why it's in our fridge. But the one that we have in our fridge is a lot better. It tastes a lot better than other peanut butters that are kind of bland. So let me look.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I think some of the natural, like I love peanut butter, but I actually don't like peanuts. And so, so I think that a lot of the natural peanut butters, they taste more like peanuts than they do like, that natural like peanut butter or that I guess unnatural peanut butter. And so that's kind of where I think I just like, I don't like it. It's the same reason I don't like crunchy peanut butter because I'm not a psycho.
Okay, Landon.
It's creamy peanut butter all the way, folks. If you like crunchy peanut butter, we need to have a conversation. Anyway.
I get it from Kroger, so I thought it would just pop up on my Kroger app, but I'm not seeing it.
You need to post a poll on your
Santa
Instagram.
Cruz. That's what brand it is. Here it is.
Yeah.
Santa Cruz Organic. So it says dark roasted peanut butter. And we get the creamy one. But yeah. You could also make your own if you really wanted to get into it, but I don't have that kind of time.
But yeah, anyway, we've really gotten into the peanut butter down the rabbit hole.
Okay.
What else do you want to talk about? Oh, we want to go into like what's actually in our pantry besides peanut butter.
Yes. So what I want to talk about would be the processed food can be more inflammatory. I want to talk about the why. Okay, like why would we be switching things out that we're used to, that our parents use, that we're we've been having and we seem fine, right? Like that's, I think, a big thing of like, why would it matter? Why would we switch it out? Why would we pay more for something that we don't even know what it's doing?
Yeah. And I think a point that too you kind of just brought up too is not always, but a lot of times the healthier options are more expensive. So it's also like do what you can, but that's kind of where it's like doesn't have to be perfect.
Right. So our overall goal is to have less processed foods because more processed foods can interfere with our hormones, our gut health, create more inflammation, create different brain issues like ADHD, autism, those types of things as well. Can lead to, can be an overload for the liver and can even cause allergies. So to say that, oh yeah, well, we're fine. Well, if you have any of those things where, girls are getting their periods so much earlier now, where they used to be getting it at 14 or so, and now they're getting it at 8 or 9. So there's obviously a big hormone change that is happening. People are having more ADHD type symptoms. People are having a lot of digestive issues. People are having more eczema and autoimmune disorders. So to say that like, oh yeah, well, we're fine, everything is fine, may not be true, and it can be linked to the foods we're eating too.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So even when like let's say for even you, for example, you have a lot of inflammation just from your years of football with arthritis that causes inflammation too. So to be focusing on like healthier foods can be helpful just for your joint pain and that kind of stuff too.
I guess I never really thought about my joint pain being connected to what foods I eat and like, or I guess the lack thereof, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so it can be important for those reasons. And then when we have children, their systems are still new and developing. So avoiding things like preservatives are meant to kill bacteria in foods and keep it fresh longer, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it also kills the bacteria in our gut. So there's a lot of good bacteria that needs to be there to help absorb and digest nutrients to help prevent infections from happening. So if we're killing that good bacteria, that can cause a lot of damage down the line. You may not see it right after eating it, but you're likely going to see it more like continuous use of something. What else? Added sugar is going to be more inflammatory. It's going to cause big blood sugar spikes in your system. So that's going to cause mood dysregulation at first, can cause hormone dysregulation, but then also it can cause an increased risk for things like type 2 diabetes and other health concerns like that. And then seed oils, I think, are like talked about a lot right now. So seed oils like canola oil, vegetable oil, palm oil, peanut oil. What are other things like that? Oils like that we want to avoid because they can cause more inflammation. They're highly processed oils where better for you oils could be olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, butter, ghee. Those types of things are going to cause less inflammation and can even be anti-inflammatory, so reducing inflammation in your body.
Well,
so that's why, like, when we're looking at ingredients on back of labels, so one, you can like choose the oil you're cooking with, right? So we typically use avocado oil and olive oil when cooking, but something to consider with olive oil, it has like a lower smoke point. So if it gets over like 420 degrees or something like that, then it starts smoking and can create a toxin. So if you're baking something at high temperatures, if you're grilling something at high temperatures and you're using an olive oil, it can honestly be doing more damage than good because it's creating this toxic smoke from it. So that's why I liked using avocado oil, because it has a higher smoke point, so it's not going to be creating that toxin, and it's flavorless, so I can't tell a lot of the time. So those are oils that we use when cooking.
It's a
or
pretty
baking.
easy switch. It's just changing the oil you use.
Right. But like when you're grocery shopping and you're looking at the vegetable oil and then you're looking at the avocado oil, you're like, this is a huge price difference. Why would I pay more?
Yeah.
So that's a big reason.
That's the handoff.
Yep. So it can be a lot of, long-term health effects for you and your family. And then when you're looking at things that you're buying, let's say ranch, for example, you're buying a bottle of ranch, looking at that Hidden Valley bottle of ranch and seeing the seed oils in there versus maybe another brand, or using your own, using an avocado oil or something like that, is going to have different effects on your body.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's kind of like the seed oil debate. And then the sugar debate, like using less high fructose corn syrup, trying to avoid stuff that includes that, like the ketchup. We have ketchup. The Heinz 57 uses corn syrup versus I bought one from Thrive Market that uses sugar. They're both sugars, but high fructose corn syrup is highly processed liquid sugar. It absorbs into your bloodstream a lot faster and can create more of a blood sugar spike than natural sugar, cane sugar, that takes a little bit longer for your body to digest and doesn't create that spike.
That's so interesting because I feel like a lot of times when things say like no added sugars or they see that they're more natural or whatever, and you'll look and like the sugar won't be very high, you're like, oh, it's healthier. And I guess I've never really contemplated like high fructose corn syrup being the alternative to that. And you're saying it's actually high fructose corn syrup is actually worse than just having like regular sugar and things.
Yeah, for sure.
Goodness.
But something that says high fructose corn syrup probably won't say zero sugar. It would probably be like a sugar substitute. And still those can cause like other effects.
I feel like when I've looked at the back of labels though, and I've been like, oh, 0 grams of sugar. I guess, I don't know.
That would probably be a sugar substitute because high fructose corn syrup is still going to add grams of sugar.
Okay. So it will stay. Okay. So it will stay, like the high fructose corn syrup will still be logged on the back as like sugar. Gotcha.
It should be, yeah, because it is still sugar heavy for sure. But like knowing how it affects you and knowing that you're trying to avoid high fructose corn syrup, or it might just say corn syrup, and why. But yeah, you may not notice it as a sugar if you're just reading the labels and you're like, corn syrup, that could be healthy, comes from a vegetable, right?
Right.
So
I've definitely done that before. I've gone through like the ingredients and I've been like, wow, okay, corn syrup, yum.
And so my philosophy too, like to try not to make it so complicated, is just reading the back ingredients. You can look at the first couple, but then looking at the list. And some people have like a rule of I don't go anything over 5 ingredients or something like that. But I think just like, do you understand those ingredients or do you not? Because if they're super chemical based, you're going to be like, what is this? And all of these dyes and other things that can affect your body, we don't need them. So if you can avoid things like that, and some brands I think are better at avoiding those extra ingredients, like Simple Mills. I like to use that if we're doing like pantry items.
Okay.
And then aiming for organic foods. People, are like, why would I pay more for this? When to use that and when not, when it doesn't matter as much. So if you want to like look up the list for the clean 15 and the dirty dozen, so there's lists out there that are 15 things that have like the least chemicals, even when they're not organic. So things like potatoes on there are like on the clean 15. So or in bananas. So I'm not looking for organic bananas. But on the dirty dozen, so these are more like produce things, but like berries and bell peppers, like I'm always looking for organic there because they have the highest amount of pesticides on them when tested.
Yeah, they don't have that like a harder outer shell like certain veggies do.
Yeah. So that's when I look there. And so, yeah, did you want to list some? Okay, so then we want to give examples of kind of what we eat.
Yeah, you want to go into more specifics instead of like, it's a little easy to say like, oh, we just look for things with like less sugar and less pesticides.
Right.
But like, what specifically have we switched out in our pantry?
So oils are a big one that we've switched out. So now we're using olive oil for low heat items, and we use avocado oil. We use grass-fed butter a lot. I've used ghee before, which is a clarified butter. And then less processed snacks, especially for Danielle. So I use like Serenity Puffs for Danielle. So I liked the ingredients there, all organic, like veggies and rice and stuff like that.
Those puffs are practically like a healthier cereal.
Yeah, exactly. So looking at ingredients for stuff like that, we buy Aloha bars. So that's like a specific brand that I liked the ingredients better. It's like a protein bar.
Yeah. I'd always used to keep like protein bars on hand, but they were always like the more sugar forward, coated in chocolate or whatever. And I think you came in and were like, we're going to do some healthier protein bars.
Or even it'll say like 0 grams of sugar or 2 grams of sugar on it, but then it's all the sugar alternatives and chemical based, and it's still really sweet for a reason. So
that's why I like them.
I know. And then like
I was thinking of them as like a healthy alternative to like a breakfast or whatever, and it was like, no, this is not great.
Right. We want whole foods when possible for sure, but we keep pantry items for like convenience, not as a staple for sure too. And then we have like cleaner protein powders. We've used like Garden of Life, Just Ingredients, those types of things. I use the OWYN. I call them Owen, but OWYN protein drinks stands for only what you need. So I really like that. We use Simple Mills brand things quite often, like crackers or pancakes or even like sweet treats. And then I like using Thrive Market, which is like a delivery service to you, or shipping, I guess, of pantry items. So I really like using Thrive Market, which this isn't a promo for Thrive Market, but we personally use them. And so that gives me a lot of good options for organic ingredient or organic pantry items and better for you pantry items that I can just like keep in stock.
Yeah. And I will say too, it's like some of this stuff is like, you might not like the way certain things taste, and that's okay. Like, I think it's, some of it will be like trial and error, like trying to go healthy on some things. We've bought some things and that are like healthier, but we just don't like the taste of them. And so then we've tried to find other options. So like, it might be a little trial and error to find things that you like, that you want to rotate into your diet. But like, I always try to shy away from actually buying things that I know I'm never going to eat, because I just don't like it as much. So there have been a couple things I'm trying to think back to examples, but like we bought them and then we just don't eat them very fast because it's like, it's not as good.
Sure.
And so you kind of, then it's like, well, then it's a waste of money for just buying it to have it in your pantry and you never eat it and it goes bad. So definitely still stick to like,
and
searching for things you actually enjoy. But.
Yeah. But stuff that you don't have very often, like Christmas treats, like if it only comes around once a year, sure, you can find some like better switches if you really, really want to. And I think that that's fantastic for the people that do. But then also if you're like, oh, I want, a little bit of puppy chow or a little bit of, a sugar cookie every now and then, and you didn't switch out all the ingredients, it's once in a while. It's not making a huge difference.
Yeah, that's where it's a treat. It's not like your lifestyle. It's not your diet on like your regular diet that you have every day. Again, it's always everything in moderation.
Right. And then I do want to go into like, okay, how I think about meals and snacks for my baby and me. So I'm definitely aiming for whole foods the best I can. So really there's no ingredients to look at when you're just buying chicken and beef, and there's definitely chicken and beef,
like grass-fed beef and
yeah, for sure. But and then sweet potato, we have apples, we have all those things. I get like a whole milk yogurt, so we have like a little bit of processing there. We have cheese, stuff like that, but definitely less ingredients to look at we're not as concerned. And then we may add,
Why are there less ingredients to look at? Just because like they're just
well, like what's ingredient in a sweet potato?
Yeah,
Sweet potato.
you're just saying like the actual option. Yep.
Yeah, so it's less that you're like focused on rather than looking at everything you're buying. And I'm aiming for like proteins and healthy fats with each meal. And, you know, a lot of the stuff is what I listed, whether that be eggs, chicken, beef, turkey, salmon, you know, sometimes yogurt. All of those are good protein options. And then healthy fats could be avocado, could be a nut butter, could be butter, could be nuts. I think I'm saying the same things. But and then we may add, and then I'd like to add vegetables, fruits, those types of things to add fiber and nutrition. And, you know, fruits are fun too. And I'm not worried about the sugar from fruits. I'm more worried about like added sugar from a lot of the sweets that we have that have like 30 grams of sugar in them, right?
Yeah. Do you still try to moderate like the amount of fruit that Danielle has because there is sugar in fruit?
I'm not trying to moderate it for that reason. I'm just trying to give her a well-rounded diet.
Yeah.
And I want her to have like proteins and healthy fats, and which there really isn't that in fruit.
Because I've heard like some parents are like, well, she just doesn't like vegetables, but she loves fruit, so we give her a lot of fruit. And I'm like, that might not be the most well-rounded diet.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that too. And the beauty of that is your toddler isn't in charge of the menu. So they might be choosing that off their plate, but you're in charge of what you're offering. So still offer a well-rounded plate, but you don't have to put pressure on what they're eating on that plate. It's their job to decide what they eat. And so that's, you know, what you offer. It is definitely frustrating when they're not choosing those things, but it can take several times for them to like something. Like I think for babies and toddlers, it can take up to 20 or 30 times for them to realize that they like something. So if you're just offering it in a low pressure situation where you're offering fruit, but then you're also offering some eggs, but they're only eating the fruit, continuing offering that, and then they may eventually like the eggs, or you know, something that they like that can be helpful. That's what I did with Danielle.
Yeah, too. I mean that's where like the baby-led weaning is helpful, because you're, you know, starting those habits early on. I think if you wait too long to give those options and stuff, I think that they might be more picky on what they eat.
Yeah, and that's a big reason why a lot of people choose baby-led weaning, is it's shown to have less picky eaters into toddlerhood. But yeah, and then I'll add some complex carbs like sweet potatoes, sourdough bread, that type of thing too, into our diet as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're just talking fast because we're trying to wrap up because Danielle woke up. But yeah, so our main basis with this is like small changes can definitely add up over time. Don't put a lot of pressure on yourself to make it. We've made changes over a course of years, and now we're definitely more intentional having a baby and being very like conscious what she is eating. But when we're at restaurants, I'm not asking what oil did you put this in, because she doesn't have an allergy. Maybe if she had an allergy, I would ask that, but I'm not as concerned when we're going to other places. I can control definitely like what I'm serving her, what I'm making for her.
Yeah. I will say too, on this like foods journey, I think it's super important to have a team mentality. Like you really, I think both parents have to be on the same page. And because if one person's trying to, you know, create a healthy like diet, and the other parent doesn't really care, or is still buying unhealthy foods and having those as options in the pantry, it's going to be harder to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. And so I think it's really important to have a conversation about it with your partner, and you know, so that they're on board with, okay, this is what we're trying to do health wise for the foods. Because I think if it's just lopsided, or you know, one's trying to do one thing and the other one's not, it can be a little more difficult to implement those changes.
Right. So my advice on that would be like understanding the why, because like when I'm trying to inform people and educate of like, okay, buy this oil instead of this oil. I'd be like, well, why when that one is more expensive? So understanding how it impacts inflammation, how it impacts your health, I think can go a long way. Do you have other advice for that?
No, I think just in general. I mean, yeah, I think you've been super helpful, like educating me on the certain options, certain choices, and like why I'm buying them, so I know what to look for. So that's important. But I just think it, like, you need to have some teamwork in it, because you both are going to have opportunities to feed your child, and if one person's feeding them healthy foods and the other person's feeding them unhealthy options, like, you're really not going to get a good, like, you're not going to get the results that you want, I guess. And like, so that's kind of where I think it's a team effort.
Right. And I will say too, like, even having her birthday party and like watching all the kids play, granted, I feel like we have some friends that are conscious about it. I'm not going into the crowd of babies saying I can tell what babies are having processed foods versus the babies that aren't. And maybe some people can tell that, but I think it's just like one piece of the puzzle. It is not the entire equation. So if you are a present parent and you're doing all these other things for your baby and you're playing with them, you're talking to them, all of that is also going to go a super long way. So it's not all or nothing. You can do a little bit at a time. There are a lot of things that can make people good parents, and a lot of things that are going to impact their developmental health. And so I think, this podcast are more focused on like the health, and, it's called Functional Medicine for Moms and all of these things. And that's where my education lies. But, I don't want to say that it's everything with that.
Nope. I think it's, you do what you can. And, that's, like, everyone's just doing their best and charting their own path. And there's like nobody's perfect, and there's no like end all be all. Like, I don't know. There's just no perfection's hard to achieve. And that's not really the goal here. It's just like, doing what you can and trying to make better decisions for your child. That's going to set them up for success and like give them the healthiest gut they can have and stuff. But obviously, do what you can, but don't stress about the rest.
Right. Don't stress yourself out where you can't be a good parent in other ways too. We're all doing the best we can. Yes. Okay. Are we ready to wrap up with a dad joke?
I think so. I have one on like diet. It's kind of fun. You ready for it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really on diet, but it kind of has the same topic. Okay.
Why
did the jaguar eat the tightrope walker?
Because he was hungry.
It was craving a well-balanced meal.
I like that. That was good.
Yeah.
Okay. Our baby woke up, so let's go get her. Our toddler, should we say?
Toddler, our 1-year-old.
Our 1-year-old. So
she
we
can
go get her.
drive.
But thanks for listening, you guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to my podcast, Functional Medicine for Moms. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss one, leave a quick 5-star review, and share it with your mom friends who love it too. I'm Kelly, with a background as a pharmacist and training in functional medicine. I help women move past fatigue, brain fog, gut issues, and hormone struggles so they can thrive in everyday life or prepare for a healthy pregnancy. Through lab testing, personalized supplements, and functional medicine coaching, I help you feel better, faster, naturally. Want to connect more? Head over to MolineMethod.com or come hang out with me on Instagram and YouTube at Functional Medicine for Moms. On my site, you can order professional grade supplements at my discount or book a free discovery call if you'd like to see how we can work together on your health. This podcast is for educational purposes only and not medical advice. Always talk to your provider before making changes to your health plan. And remember, healthy moms raise healthy families. Catch you next time. New episodes released every Wednesday.